Maple syrup has long been praised as a symbol of nature's sweetness. Tapped from towering sugar maple trees in pristine forests, slowly boiled down to a rich golden syrup. Unlike refined white sugar, which is chemically stripped and processed, maple syrup is seen as wholesome, rustic, and even nutritious in small amounts. But it's crucial to remember that natural does not automatically mean healthy, especially for individuals managing blood sugar levels or diagnosed with diabetes. At its core, maple syrup is still a dense sugar solution, with nearly 66% of its composition being sucrose, the very same sugar found in granulated white sugar. In fact, 1 tablespoon of maple syrup contains over 13 grams of sugar and about 52 calories. Before we continue, I'd like to tell you about Diacylon, a powerful blend of 13 natural ingredients, each carefully selected for their proven ability to support healthy blood sugar levels, enhance insulin sensitivity, and promote overall wellness. You can read more on diacylon.com. While it does contain trace elements like manganese, calcium, zinc, and a handful of antioxidants, the quantity of these nutrients is minimal. You would have to consume an unhealthy amount to gain any real nutritional benefit, defeating the purpose for a person trying to control glucose levels. This misunderstanding, that maple syrup is somehow better or safer, often leads to overconsumption, which can be dangerous for those who need to keep blood glucose tightly managed. To truly grasp the impact of maple syrup on diabetes, we need to explore what sugar does to the body. When you consume sugar, whether it's from syrup, bread, fruit, soda, or even starchy vegetables, it gets broken down into simple glucose molecules in the digestive system. This glucose is absorbed into the bloodstream, causing blood sugar levels to rise. In a healthy person, this spike is mild and temporary. The pancreas quickly senses the rising glucose and responds by releasing insulin, a hormone that essentially acts as a key, unlocking the cells so they can absorb glucose for energy or storage. But in someone with diabetes, this system is compromised. Type 1 diabetics produce little to no insulin, meaning they rely on external injections or pumps to manage glucose. Type 2 diabetics often still produce insulin, but their cells don't respond effectively, a condition known as insulin resistance. This leads to prolonged high blood sugar, which damages blood vessels, nerves, and organs over time. It's not just about eating sweets, it's about a cascade of internal effects that can accelerate complications, cause inflammation, and reduce quality of life. Even one indulgence can push a person out of their optimal glucose range, especially if it's not part of a carefully balanced meal. Now let's examine what really happens after just a taste, a spoonful, a drizzle, or even a lick of maple syrup. You might think it's too small to matter, but that's not how the body sees it. Once ingested, enzymes in your saliva and small intestine immediately begin breaking down the sucrose into glucose and fructose. Glucose is absorbed directly into the bloodstream, while fructose is metabolized primarily by the liver. The glucose causes an almost immediate rise in blood sugar levels, within 10 to 15 minutes in most cases. This effect can be observed clearly using a continuous glucose monitor, CGM, where even half a teaspoon of syrup may cause a noticeable uptick. It's important to remember that the body doesn't process food based on the size of your bite or your intent, only the chemical content. If your blood sugar is already elevated, this seemingly tiny amount can push it into an unsafe range. And if you're in a fasted state or haven't eaten much that day, the spike could be even sharper. While healthy individuals may recover quickly, diabetics often find their glucose lingers at high levels unless they intervene with medication, insulin, or physical activity. The glycemic index, GI, of maple syrup is often cited to support its healthier status. With a GI of around 54, it's technically lower than table sugar, GI 65, and much lower than high GI foods like white bread or cornflakes. However, the GI doesn't tell the whole story. Glycemic load, GL, which takes into account both the type and quantity of carbohydrate in a serving, gives a more realistic picture. Because maple syrup is dense in sugars, even a small serving has a high glycemic load. This means it can significantly raise blood sugar, particularly when eaten alone or with other fast-digesting carbs. Moreover, its liquid form is absorbed faster than solid carbohydrates, which accelerates the glucose spike. For people with diabetes, this means an increased likelihood of experiencing hyperglycemia, a condition where blood sugar rises above the target range and can remain there for hours. Chronic hyperglycemia damages the vascular system, increases the risk of cardiovascular disease, and contributes to insulin resistance. And because maple syrup tastes mild and goes down easily, it's especially easy to underestimate portion size and impact, which compounds the risk even further. Insulin, the hormone responsible for managing blood sugar, plays a central role in this story. When a diabetic consumes maple syrup, their ability to produce and/or respond to insulin is already impaired. For someone with type 1 diabetes, any carbohydrate intake, no matter how small, requires planning, insulin calculation, and careful timing. If insulin is not administered in the correct dose, blood sugar may rise too fast or drop too low, causing dangerous fluctuations. In type 2 diabetes, the pancreas often compensates by producing more insulin than normal, but over time, this can wear out the pancreas and lead to worsening glycemic control. Chronic overproduction of insulin is also linked to fat storage, weight gain, and metabolic dysfunction. It's a vicious cycle. Consuming sugar increases insulin demand, insulin resistance increases over time, and higher blood sugar becomes harder to manage. Even a small taste of something sweet, when repeated over days and weeks, can contribute to this cycle, making it harder to maintain long-term control. This is why many endocrinologists recommend minimizing even small cheats or sugar exposures, especially for those trying to reverse insulin resistance or wean off medication. Many people believe that the source of sugar determines its health impact. But from a biochemical perspective, the body doesn't distinguish much between sugars from cane, beet, corn, or maple tree. Sucrose is sucrose, no matter the origin. While maple syrup contains about 24 different antioxidants and small amounts of minerals like magnesium, potassium, and riboflavin, these health-promoting compounds are not present in clinically meaningful amounts unless consumed in large and therefore harmful quantities. You would need to drink nearly a cup of maple syrup to get any notable antioxidant benefits, which would also deliver over 200 grams of sugar, completely unsafe for any person, let alone someone with diabetes. The seductive idea that natural equals safe has led many people into dietary traps, where they overconsume maple syrup, honey, agave, or coconut sugar thinking they're healthier. But when it comes to diabetes, total sugar content, glycemic load, and insulin response are what truly matter, not whether the sugar came from a tree or a lab. There is a misconception that diabetics must avoid all sweets forever. The reality is more nuanced. Some individuals with well-managed diabetes and stable glucose readings can occasionally enjoy sweeteners like maple syrup in very small amounts, especially when combined with high fiber, high protein, or high-fat foods that slow digestion and reduce glycemic impact. For example, adding half a teaspoon to steel-cut oats with chia seeds and almond butter might cause only a mild rise in blood sugar. But the key is intentionality. Unconscious, casual consumption, like licking a spoon, tasting dessert batter, or drizzling syrup on already sweetened foods, can quickly become a hidden source of daily glucose spikes. This is why blood glucose monitoring, portion awareness, and meal composition are essential tools for making room for occasional indulgences. It's also helpful to understand your personal thresholds. Some people may be extremely sensitive to even small doses of sugar, while others may tolerate them better. Continuous glucose monitors and fingerstick tests can reveal your individual patterns and help guide smarter choices. What matters most is consistency, not perfection. There's also a powerful neurological component to consider. Our brains are hardwired to love sugar. It activates the brain's reward system, particularly the release of dopamine, a neurotransmitter linked to motivation, pleasure, and reinforcement. For many people, this reward mechanism becomes a driver of compulsive behavior. Even a single taste of maple syrup can trigger strong cravings, especially if you're in the early stages of reducing sugar or managing emotional eating patterns. This is why just one taste is rarely just one. Your brain may prompt you to return for more, sometimes without conscious thought. This can derail dietary goals, lead to feelings of guilt or failure, and create a destructive emotional cycle. Furthermore, insulin itself plays a role in signaling hunger and satiety. When your blood sugar spikes and crashes rapidly, as it does with high GI sweeteners, you often feel hungry again soon after. This can set up a pattern of overeating that extends beyond the initial sugary treat. For someone working hard to control diabetes or lose weight, these biochemical and psychological feedback loops are major hurdles to long-term success. Luckily, there are alternatives. Many sweeteners are now available that offer sweetness without the metabolic cost. Stevia, monk fruit extract, erythritol, and allulose are among the most popular sugar-free options. These sweeteners have minimal to no impact on blood sugar levels and are generally well tolerated by people with diabetes. Some brands now create sugar-free maple-flavored syrups using these ingredients, offering a taste experience very close to the original. However, it's crucial to read ingredient labels carefully. Some products are labeled sugar-free, but contain maltodextrin, sorbitol, or other additives that can spike blood sugar. Ideally, look for products that list erythritol or stevia as the main sweetener, have zero net carbs, and use natural flavoring. While no substitute is perfect, using these options can help you satisfy your sweet tooth without sacrificing your blood sugar stability. Over time, they may even help retrain your taste buds to prefer less sweetness overall, reducing sugar cravings and improving long-term dietary habits. Chronic blood sugar elevation is not just a numbers issue. It's a health crisis in slow motion. Over time, elevated glucose levels damage the endothelial lining of blood vessels, leading to inflammation, plaque buildup, and impaired circulation. This is why diabetes is a leading risk factor for heart disease, stroke, kidney failure, and blindness. Nerve damage, poor wound healing, and even limb amputation are real risks for those with long-standing, uncontrolled diabetes. The dangerous part is that these complications often develop silently with no symptoms until significant damage has occurred. Every blood sugar spike, even a minor one, contributes incrementally to this progression. This is why just a taste matters. It's not just about what happens in the next hour. It's about what happens cumulatively over months and years. The more stable your blood sugar, the better your chances of preventing or delaying these serious outcomes. Making small, mindful decisions, like choosing to skip that drizzle of maple syrup, can add up to major benefits in the long run. So, what truly happens after just one taste of maple syrup, especially if you're living with diabetes, is far more intricate than a fleeting moment of sweetness. It might seem harmless, even trivial, like a drop of syrup on a pancake, a small swirl in your coffee, or a taste while baking. But what occurs behind the scenes is a detailed physiological reaction that your body cannot ignore. The glucose surge may be small, but it creates a ripple effect, triggering hormonal changes, altering energy balance, promoting cravings, and influencing decisions hours or even days afterward. These seemingly insignificant moments can accumulate into patterns, and patterns shape outcomes. For those with insulin resistance or diabetes, that pattern can make the difference between stable blood sugar and a dangerous spike, between steady energy and debilitating fatigue, between disease management and disease progression. So the next time you're offered just one taste, pause, breathe, ask yourself, is this part of a bigger plan? Or is this a moment of impulse that could ripple into hours of damage? Are you honoring your long-term health or feeding a short-term craving? Do you have a balanced meal to pair it with? Do you have a way to offset the impact, like walking or insulin? These questions don't make you obsessive. They make you prepared, empowered, intentional. Because living with diabetes doesn't mean giving up sweetness. It means redefining it on your own terms. And those terms can and should put your health first.